Real good. Yourself? Yeah. That was long. So far, so good. It's early.
Jackie already recruited a mic holder, so you can do the next one if you want. If you want.
Joining us from Villanova, head coach Denise Dillon, student athlete Maddie Weber. We'll begin with an opening statement from Coach.
Well, obviously a disappointing finish. You never want to go out. You want to keep going and get to that championship game, but obviously coming across a great UConn team, those things are quite the challenge. So congrats to them and wishing them the best in the championship tomorrow.
We'll go with questions for Maddie first. Please wait for the microphone and state your name and affiliation before your first question. Carl.
Carl Adam at Hearst Media. Maddie, 37 points against them in a half is pretty good. Did they do anything defensively different in the second half, make any adjustments, more intensity? I don't know how you want to describe it, but what do you think maybe they did better defensively, or did you just not make the shots that you were making?
I think we were getting good looks. We just weren't hitting a lot of our shots, and they also were collapsing a bit more, which we realized. So I think next time or next team we play, we just got to find the open shooters and then knock down our shots.
Questions for Maddie. Up front, Doug.
Hey, Maddie, Doug Feinberg, the AP. What was going well in the first half? I mean, you guys were hitting shots. What was working for you guys on the offensive end?
I think in the first half we were just the more aggressive team, and we were driving, getting to our spots, hitting our shots as well, and then we're also offensive rebounding a lot and just doing our thing. I think we just stopped a little bit in the second half, but yeah.
Take a question in the back right.
Anthony Price, CT Hoops Magazine. Maddie, in a game like this, which is essentially a home game for UConn, how is that playing against the crowd as well as playing against a really tough UConn team?
I mean, we're used to it by now. This is my second year, so I'm also used to it. But for the new people, we had to tell them it's like a home game. It's just we have to shut out the noise and just do what we do, stay together. And we have our own fans here, so just relying on them.
Any other questions for Maddie? Maddie, thank you.
Shot, Matt. Thanks. You're free.
Yeah, you're free to go.
You're free.
Questions for Coach? Right here, Mike on the corner.
Hi, Coach Mike Anthony from Hearst here in Connecticut. Excuse me. You had faced them twice in January, pretty big margin of defeat. You really threw a lot at them today and kept it close and kept it a fun game to watch throughout that first half. Just
Right.
what goes into the approach when you've seen a team recently and haven't had the results you wanted, and just what goes into the
Yeah, well, obviously it's just a continued growth of your team and progression throughout a season, and trying to flush away the two games prior. Learn from them. You know, we talked about it after those games. We watched the film and learn and grow at practice. And I think this team has done that. You know, there's so many areas, so many holes that you want to plug, but wanting them to consistently stick together, especially on the defensive end. And I laugh. I mean, today you come out in that first half, and yeah, it wasn't a defensive battle by any stretch. The offense was flowing for both teams, so going back and forth. So you knew those adjustments were going to be made at halftime. Unfortunately, you know, they turned it up another level, and we didn't match it, and things didn't go our way offensively. But I was pleased with the recognition of new season once the conference tournament comes into play, and not getting caught up on those two previous games.
We'll go to Doug in the front row.
Hey, Coach, is their defense a little underrated, as crazy as to say? I mean, they held you guys out for 16 minutes out of the basket at St. John's
Right.
yesterday, 10. Everyone thinks about the offense, but how good are they defensively when they're locked in like they were in the
I
second
think
half?
they're a great defensive team. Who's underestimating their defense? Are they on the national scale? I don't know about that. But, yeah, I think they always do a great job of shrinking the court. They keep you on one side of the floor. They're disruptive. They get in the passing lane. So you feel it, and you know it's out there. So, and they have a lot of players coming in to the game. So, well, whoever is stating that it hasn't played against them or hasn't been watching enough basketball.
Question in the back left.
Hey, Coach. Kari Thompson, Boston Globe. Sarah Strong had 16 rebounds in this game. What makes her so good on the boards, and could you speak a little bit about her impact defensively?
Yeah, I think, well, definitely defensively, you've seen her growth this season, you know, just the importance of getting out there, guarding perimeter and post. But I think she found herself in great position. They know the shots are going to go up, the recognition of where they're going, and then Sarah did a good job of getting that inside position, using her body to come up with some. So, yeah, she was killing it on the boards for sure.
Any other questions for Coach? Coach, thank you.
Thank you.
else. I heard you guys talking. Looks like rearranging living room furniture. It's all good.
The rotating cast of Illinois, Michigan, Nebraska, Indiana, all played out. Oh, was this one? Okay, this happened in the NCAA 4x4. Not quite, not the doink in the back of the head, but there were two dudes like full shoving each other. I don't know if this was just clonk. She really wound up for it too.
Come on up, ladies. Congrats. Joining us from UConn, head coach Gino Oriema, student athletes Azzy Fudd, Paige Beckers, and Sarah Strong. We'll open up with a statement from Coach.
Oh, thanks. Well, you know, you're playing in these games, you know, and you try to build some momentum going forward. You know, we played really well offensively that first half, and our defense, I thought, struggled a little bit, and I think it's a reminder too how, you know, when you play somebody for the third time, it's never going to be as easy as, you know, maybe it looked the first two times. So third quarter, I thought we looked more like ourselves. I thought our defense was really, really good. I think we kind of separated ourselves from them. So it was a good way to to finish the game in the second half. And so hopefully we bring that momentum tomorrow.
We'll go to questions for the student athletes first. Please wait for the microphone and state your name and affiliation. We'll go front row. Carl.
Carl Adamek, Hearst Media Page. Coach just addressed your defense. Were there any adjustments defensively, just more intensity? I know Villanova made some tough shots, but they also scored a few easy baskets. What did you think was the difference defensively in the second half for your team?
Just keeping guys in front of us, limiting paint touches, limiting wide open threes, getting a hand up to contest, and trying to make things more difficult, more pressure, more denying, just making them more uncomfortable than we did in the first half.
We'll stay in the front row. Vicky.
Vicky Fulkerson from the New London Day. Sarah, is there a different feel to the tournament than there is to the regular season? And did it take you like any time at all, like yesterday or today, to get used to, you know, the atmosphere here? And how did you kind of settle in this game?
I try not to overthink it. I just look at it as any other game and just keep my same mentality for other games too.
Questions for the student athletes. We'll go in the middle to Maggie. Second row.
Maggie Bononi, CT Insider. Paige, I know the emphasis for you this year has been to take more open shots. How are you with that adjustment, and are you where you would like to be in that regard?
Yeah, I feel like there's always room for improvement in all aspects of my game. But continue to hunt them more, find them more, move without the ball more to get more wide open shots. I think I've gotten better, but there's still progress to be made.
Go right here in the second row.
Daniel Connolly, the UConn blog. Paige, that second quarter stretch that you had where you scored a bunch, just what was running through your head, and what was it about that part of the game to take over for you?
Yeah, I felt more like a back and forth game. We weren't getting defensive stops, and I feel like I was just trying to take what the defense was giving me, be aggressive, get to my spot. My teammates were setting really great screens for me, getting me open, helping me get to my spot. So just trying to read the game and what it needed, and once you make a few, the basket seems a little bit wider, so just trying to stay aggressive.
We'll go to Mike, second row on the left.
Mike Anthony from Hearst. AZ, ultimately you guys went on to win comfortably because of your response. Do you think it was a valuable experience to have to come up with a response, given that there's a championship game tomorrow, then a national tournament? Was this a valuable experience to get pushed a little bit in the first half?
Definitely, and I think, you know, it was also kind of like that wake-up call that we needed. Like, we can't have any other halves, any quarters, any little stretches with our defense being like that. So we need to continue to take pride in our defense for a full 40 minutes, and kind of like Coach said, like, not settle. Even though it's our third time playing them, we can't expect them to be the same team we played a month ago.
Third row on the left.
Kari Thompson, Boston Globe. Sarah, I asked Paige about you yesterday, and she talked about just your basketball IQ and how smart you are. Just where does that come from? I know both your parents play basketball, but where does that come from, just from your perspective?
I would say I really don't know where it comes from. I watch a lot of basketball, whether it was with my family or with my coaches. So, I mean, I just kind of grew up around it and just play. I don't know.
We'll go to Emily, second row in the middle here.
Emily Adams, Hartford Current. Sarah, this was a season high in rebounds for you today. Just what were you seeing that was making it so easy for you to get to the glass, especially on the offensive end?
I was just crashing the boards. I wasn't really thinking about it. I was told to be aggressive on the offensive end and just crashed.
We'll go to Dom in the front row.
Thank you. Dom Amori, Hartford Current. Paige, in comparison to past years, where do you feel like this team is at this point in terms of having a lot of players available, in terms of maybe not being as tired or as beat up as you guys have been in the past because you only had 6 or 7 players? Where do you feel you guys are stamina-wise this time of year compared to the past?
I think a lot in the same, honestly. Maybe more physically, less tired, less fatigued, but I think Coach does a really good job of practice, making sure we're in great condition, whether we're playing 20 minutes a night or 40 minutes a night. I think the conditioning really comes in practice, but obviously getting game reps, playing heavy minutes,
Everybody, we have, like you said, a lot more depth and a lot more people who are able to play. So that definitely helps keep guys fresh, keep the pressure up. It helps us with our press and making sure everybody's fresh and ready to go.
We'll go to T, front row right.
T. Baker with the next. Sarah, this one's for you. Can you just talk about the impact Ice Brady has on the game and how when she's in the post, sharing the post with you, she impacts the game?
Yeah, she's very experienced, or somewhat experienced. But, I mean, she has a great IQ, and she's just an overall good player. Makes everything easier.
We'll go to Maggie, second row in the middle.
Maggie Benoni, CT Insider. Izzy, going off of Daniel's question, when Paige goes on a tear like she did in the second quarter, how much does that fuel you guys on either side of the ball?
I mean, it was a lot of fun to watch just being on the court. I was like, okay, like, let Sarah and Paige do their thing, their screen and roll. And then I was like, well, they're doing their thing on offense. Like, I need to take pride in my defense and help them and help us string together some stops. So I tried to pull my part on defense when they were doing their thing on offense.
Back row right.
Anthony Price, CT Hoops Magazine. AZ, when you as a shooter, obviously you want the ball to go in. When you shoot, what are you thinking about when they go in? You shot 2 of 5 from 3-point line. What are you thinking when you're releasing the ball?
Well, sometimes I'm kind of surprised of how open I am. I think my teammates do a really great job of setting me good screens and getting me great looks. I think just the usual, make sure my feet are set, hold my follow through. My follow through is going up, not out. I feel like those kind of just like roll through my head really fast, and then I usually know right away whether it's going in or out, and then it's like, what did I do wrong? What can I adjust for the next shot? Or if it went in, like, finally. But I don't like really linger on shots. I'm like, okay, in or out, next one's going in, and then back on defense.
We'll go to the front row, Doug.
Doug Farmer, the AP. Paige, you guys say anything at the half about the defense? I mean, they're hitting some shots that were hard to make, but did you guys say, hey, we got to turn it up a little bit and get more locked in defensively to shut them down in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, we talked amongst players, and Coach talked about our defense and how we've really taken pride on that, and how that was nothing like what we wanted to display and nothing like we've been in the past. So definitely, it was a huge emphasis to tighten it up in the second half.
Carl, front row left.
Paige, tomorrow will be the last Big East game. Can you just sort of reflect on it, and what advice do you have for, say, freshmen like Sarah who will be playing in their first conference tournament final as you look ahead to tomorrow?
Yeah, it's felt like it's been forever, but it also feels like it was just yesterday. I was a freshman. And so, I mean, just to enjoy it, just to embrace it, it goes by super, super fast, and you don't even expect it. And yeah, I mean, like I said, just enjoy it, just embrace it. Never take a game for granted in this conference, in this league. Any single game, you get to wear this uniform, wear it with pride, and yeah.
AZ, Paige, Sarah, thanks for your time. We'll let you get back to the locker room.
Thank you.
Questions for Coach? We'll go to Mike on the left.
Gino, similar to what I asked Daisy, just the fact that they did push you in the first half and you had to respond, is that good to go through?
Yeah, I think it always is. When games are played where you're able to function without any kind of pressure whatsoever. The game is easier, and it's not realistic though that it's going to be like that. So it was good that to come out and have to play in the third quarter with a sense of teams like Villanova, the more you let them hang around and hang around and hang around, and this time of the year, you don't want to play like that. It was, I thought, an opportunity. You don't get a lot of these. Sometimes you go through a couple weeks and you don't get a lot of opportunities. So it was really good. And hopefully, you know, it pays off, you know, tomorrow or next week, 2 weeks, whatever it is.
We'll go to T in the front row.
Hey, Coach T. Baker with the next. Similar question about Ice. Can you just talk about what you've seen from her the past 2 games and what you need from her to move forward in the postseason?
Yeah, it's hard to come back, you know, when you don't play for an extended period of time. You have to kind of work your way back little by little. And I thought that, you know, her response has been really, really good. I thought there were some things today that were not great. But it allows us to play differently. We can get Sarah more rest. You know, we can put her, you know, either with Jenna, with Sarah, by herself out there when we play really small. And the fact that, you know, she's a threat to make a 3 like she did today, and like she did, I think, the last game, whenever it was. So it's a different dynamic, and Ice has a lot of ability, and hopefully she's able to channel that, you know, and be consistent with it.
We'll go to Kari, back row left.
Hey, Coach. 16 rebounds for Sarah today. When she's aggressive like that and rebounding like that, what does that do for your team, and what is it about her game that lets her have nights like that?
Well, she's tremendously talented, obviously, and has a knack for where the ball is and where it's going. Not everybody has that. We have 4 offensive rebounds in the first half, and she got all 4 of them. You know, I think the fact that she impacts. I think she had 14 yesterday, all right, and 16 today. That's, you know, that's a pretty good 2-day stretch, but she impacts the game in every single area. You know, whether she's defending somebody and it's a steal, whether it's a block shot, whether it's a defensive rebound, an offensive rebound. You know, I always like to think that we don't want to play with both Sarah and Paige on the bench. That's not something that that's good for us. That's how important I think she is. I'm okay with Paige being out of the game as long as Sarah's in the game, because I think she, you know, it's more like having 2 or 3 players out there instead of just one.
We'll go to Doug in the front row.
Gino, it sounds like the players took some ownership at half about their lack of defense in the first half. For the last month, it seems, since the South Carolina game, he's been playing really well on that end of the court. I think you had 10 minutes yesterday without St. John scoring, 16 minutes today without Nova hitting a basket. What is about you guys in defense? It seems come March, you're usually where you want to be, it seems.
Yeah. That has to be the foundation for everything at this time of the year. As you saw last night, there's no guarantees that open threes are going to go in. You know, you like to think that, yeah, we're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. They're always going to go in. They're not. So you've got to, you know, you've got to play a different level defensively in March than you do during the regular year. And that's not the easiest thing in the world to do. And I'm glad they took some ownership of it. That's what they're supposed to do. I think you're supposed to be prideful in your defense. You know, you want to be somebody that can be counted on, you know, on the defensive end. And I just think that sometimes we get a little bit overconfident, and we get a little bit too comfortable. And this is not the time of the year for that. You know, this is the time of the year when you're actually trying to, you know, get people to, you know, score single digits in the quarter. That's the goal.
Front row, Dom.
Yeah, Dom Amori, Hartford Current. Gino, what was your approach or your tack in the second quarter and at halftime? Were you angry with what you were saying, or were you more methodical in correcting things? Were you, what was your, what was your tone to the team at that point?
During the second quarter or in the locker room at halftime? I think there was one incident in the second quarter where it was a little bit heated in the huddle, because I felt like it wasn't just one incident or one time or one player, that it was kind of like everybody. And I don't know that we had the focus that we needed to have. And no matter how much you convince players, Villanova's scrappy. They know they're always undersized. They know that they're playing teams that maybe have more talent than them. And they play hard, and they're tough kids. And they didn't believe me, and that's why I think Villanova did such a good job on the offensive boards, So, yeah, I was pretty animated, pretty angry during that second quarter. Halftime, not so much, I've learned with this particular team, and maybe just in general anymore, if you are like that too often, they kind of tune you out. They don't want to hear it anymore. You made your point. Let's move on. So it was more, this is what we need to do. This is how we're going to do it, and let's go. And that seems to work with these guys.
We'll go to Eric in the back right.
Eric Dobratz, News 8. Coach, when you're going through a little lull, for the last couple of years, you've wanted Paige to be more selfish. And in that second quarter, is that you're kind of standing there going, yes, that's what I want? Do you have to say that to her, or has it been over these years?
No, I mean, she knows by now. We've evolved in our relationship. I think she takes everything I say as a suggestion. So, I got to cross my fingers and hope that, it lands in the right place. But when the game got close, when they took the lead, I think that more than anything I could say then was the turning point for her, because at that point then she just started playing and started kind of taking it upon herself, which is good and bad. Don't get me wrong. I think it's great, because she's the one that can, have that kind of impact. And I didn't have to say it. I didn't have to do anything. I think she just instinctively has to know these things. I said, you don't pass the ball enough. Like, other guys didn't even get to touch the ball in the second quarter. I said, that's not how you want to play basketball. So, I confuse her more than I help her.
Second row in the middle, Maggie.
Maggie Benoni, Hersey Team Media. Kind of on that same note, do you feel like it's more comfortable for her now to take the open shot instead of passing it up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it. There was one time in the huddle where I asked her why she needed 3 or 4 dribbles to get a shot that she had after 1 dribble, and a lot of times after 2. So I think there's little things that help her. She always gets the other team's best defender. It's always really, really hard for her to get a lot of daylight, and when she does, it's a second and a half, and you don't want to waste it dribbling the ball when you got an opportunity to shoot it. Today, I think was the first time in quite some time where she actually just took the ball and wanted to play one-on-one with whoever was guarding her, which I think that's what we've been striving for. Yes, there is a time, and there's still times where I think she has a lot of confidence in her teammates, which is really good. So a combination of the two going into the tournament is probably what serves us best.
Stay in the second row, Emily.
Emily Adams, Hartford Current. How valuable is the consistency that you've gotten from AZ over these last few games, both offensively and defensively, especially?
Yeah, with AZ, it's kind of weird, you know, because everybody knows of her as a shooter, as a scorer, and I know she wants to be more than that. And the interesting thing about AZ is she puts a lot of pressure on herself. You know, she like you said, when she's shooting the ball, she's got all these things going probably through her head. You know, analyzing every shot, every aspect of the shot, and puts a lot of pressure on herself. So I tend to not put any pressure on her. And conversation recently, you know, I told her that, and she said, you know, I'm not a baby. I can take it. You know, you can coach me harder. So usually it's things that she's already good at that I want to remind her that if you're not doing those things, then you're not being AZ Fudd. You know? And a lot of these kids, it's interesting because they don't want to hurt the team. So they think if I don't take this open shot, if I'm not shooting well, I'm not going to shoot it, and that's what hurts the team. So, you know, they're so self-conscious about I want to do the right thing, and you have to remind them the right thing is, you know, you have to do this on the offensive end, and then when that happens, you remind her that she has an incredible ability to play defense, but in a different way than, let's say, KK or Sarah or those guys. And you saw today how many steals she came up with, how many times she got the ball. So players that are really good shooters, like AZ, they go through slumps too. I mean, and you can still impact the game a lot of different ways. And that's a lot. That's a lot.
Carl, front row.
Carl Adam at Hearst Media. Gino, 30 wins on the season. I think that's 28 out of 32 seasons. I know you like to talk about when 20 wins was a good season, so has 30 become the new 20?
Yeah. Yeah, that used to be the standard for coaches, how many 20-win seasons you have. I don't know, if we won 20 games in a season, there'd probably be a lot of people sitting here in front of me, but it wouldn't be for that reason, for the same reason that you're here tonight. So 20 has become, yeah, like anything else. I think at UConn, the numbers that I get reminded of are so, really, they're hard to comprehend because they don't make any sense. So standards are out of whack, and yet, you know, you keep getting there, so it makes it normal. So yeah, now 30 is normal, which is ridiculous to even say it. You know, how many teams have won 30 games, 28 out of 32 times, 28 out of 32 times? How many? I don't even know. Yeah, ask Anna. So these things. What's that? You know what? We did have 29. Yeah, we did have 29 one time. I think it was when it was bubble, right? Yeah, the season was canceled. Yeah, the season was canceled, which is really good because that team kind of sucked. And if we went to the NCAA tournament, we would have got our asses kicked. So not that I wished anybody ill will when, you know, the season was canceled, but I was pretty happy. Yeah. There's no way that team was going to the Final Four. No chance. No chance. But somehow, you know, we managed to, you know, to get that. It's the consistency is probably what, you know, Paige talks about it a lot. I think that's the thing that makes us the most proud of ourselves. That, you know, we've been able to do it, and not a lot of people have.
We'll go to Anthony in the back right.
Anthony Price, CT Hoops Magazine. Coach, Jana El Alfi had 7 points, 7 rebounds, played about 21 minutes. How would you assess her performance tonight?
She's making progress, by putting together longer stretches, There's still a lot left that she's, I think, capable of doing. But we're getting more consistent each game, each day in practice. Things are, starting to make sense to her. Hard in these games because there's nobody for her to guard sometimes, But at the same time, if there's nobody for her to guard, because they play with 5 guards, it seems like, then there's nobody that should be able to guard her either. So we're trying to let her understand that what hurts her on one end should be a big, huge asset on the other end. And little by little, she's getting it.
Any other questions for Coach? We'll go back left, last question.
Hi there, Patrick Boots from WHUS. You mentioned yesterday's game was a little gritty. Villanova, obviously a different type of contender today. Do you feel that this game was smoother? Other things to work on maybe for tomorrow?
Yeah, there's always things. And there's 2 teams playing right now that their styles are polar opposites, right? So you don't know what kind of team you're playing tomorrow. One team presents one set of challenges, and other teams, like today and yesterday. Yesterday, the challenge that St. John's posed, completely different than today. Points were easier to come by today than they were yesterday because the offense just flowed and it was great, Paige. But yesterday we guarded the hell out of St. John's. Today we didn't guard Villanova in the first half. So every game that you play, you come out of it feeling like we played the game that was meant to be played that day. And today's game meant to be played this way. How it will be tomorrow, I don't know. Depends on who we play. But when it's all said and done, to be honest with you, it doesn't matter who we play as much as what are we controlling that we can control. And tomorrow will be a lot harder than it was today, for sure. And it's supposed to be, right?
Coach, thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Huh? 23-6, great.